Hello guys, in this video I'm going to share some more frugal tips, and I wanted to cater this video towards more low income earners, although the tips I share will be helpful for everyone. So let's get started. To kickstart this video, I just wanted to share the first tip of being grateful for what you already have, because I find in today's society it's so easy to think about what you don't have and compare with others. So I like to start my day off with thinking about 5 things I'm grateful for, and 5 things is usually quite easy. 10 things probably requires a bit more thought, but I like to kickstart my day with the simple things. For example, being grateful that I have fresh water to drink, being grateful that I have shelter, that I have privacy, and so on. So that's my first tip, and I find it's going to be the most important tip as this is going to be applicable to everyone. The second tip is having a stockpile. Reason being is because if you have a stockpile, you're not reliant on having to go out to the shops every single week. Now, when I say stockpile, I mean do it responsibly, and I know low income earners probably have a little bit less discretionary income, but that doesn't mean that you can't start a stockpile. You can start slow and easy by buying an additional item each week. For example, a can of veggies, a can of soup, whatever it is. Start out small so you don't have to rush out and start with like a $200 stockpile in week one. I also find that stockpiling is actually more important for low income earners because if you have a stockpile, it can help curve like inflation spikes, or if you're having a high expense week one particular week, you can skip groceries and just cook off what you have in your stockpile. Another example would be, I think I first started stockpiling a couple of years ago, and the items that I've purchased have doubled in price. So that's also something else you want to keep in mind, the inflationary pressures of the cost of living. Another thing I wanted to note is make sure you're actually buying things that you eat for your stockpile, because you don't want to buy things just for the sake of stockpiling, because essentially you're going to waste money if that's the case. I also like to keep like a little record of when my items that I eat regularly go on sale, because generally there's a sales cycle and I tend to stock up when my favorite items are either half price or 40% off. My best advice is to start, even if it means starting small. Just do whatever is comfortable for your budget. Also, I just wanted to mention I've got a little savings challenge I've implemented here. So normally I allocate $100 to recreational spending every single week. And now I've got this little chart that I've created. So I've taken $20 out from $100, which means I've got $80 in recreational spending for this particular week. My next tip is to organize your errands to make sure you run them all on one day, because you don't want to be spending one day doing your grocery shopping and then the second day going to the post office and then the next day popping out to the fruit and veg shop as well. I like to plan everything that I need to do and try and get it done in 1 or 2 days across the weekend, because that means I will save my time and I'll be saving money on fuel. I don't want to spend my days running around doing little bits and pieces here and there. And fuel prices are actually quite expensive in Sydney, and I'm pretty sure they're quite expensive for the rest of the world as well. Save up money for your purchases is the next tip, and it's a crucial one. Don't put any purchases on credit unless you're absolutely certain that you can pay it off before the interest period expires, because there's no point putting something on a credit card and then next month you don't have money to pay it off. Then the interest rate you've got to pay on top of the purchase is an extra 20 or 30%. I tend to not buy any big purchases unless I know I have cash to pay for it. And even with luxury items, yes, I do splurge every now and then, but I always make sure I have enough capital to do so. So, for example, if there's a TV that I want that costs $2,000, I would never buy it unless I have at least $10,000 in my savings account. That way, that purchase doesn't burden me financially. So, yeah, I pretty much never put anything on credit unless I'm absolutely certain I'm going to pay that off before the interest-free period ends. The next tip, I actually did a lot of research on the Great Depression, and I noticed a lot of people were growing their own food. And my grandparents grew their own food as well. I personally don't do this because I'm not good at it. Every time I try to grow a plant, it ends up dying. I'll probably give it a go again in the near future, but for me personally, I just find it's actually more cost effective for me to invest my time in other things. But if you're a low income earner, um, growing your own fruit and veg might be something for you to consider because the cost of food is crazy at the moment. Fresh fruit and veg in major supermarkets cost so much. But for me, the reason why I don't grow it is because I'm not good at it. By the time I purchase the seeds and the soil and everything, it actually ends up going to waste. So I personally don't follow this tip, but I noticed a lot of people in the Great Depression had their own gardens. So I wanted to share it in this video for you guys. This leads me into my next tip, which is research some Great Depression recipes online. You'll have access to them for free. You can use Google, you can use YouTube, you can look into books at the library, whatever you like. I personally became interested in this topic, so I started researching Great Depression meals on YouTube, and a channel that I really love that I found is Clara's Kitchen. So I think if you Google Great Depression cooking, I think her channel comes up first. Her meals look delicious and they're simple and they're cost effective. So if you're running tight on your budget, research some Great Depression recipes online. I personally think this is one of my favorite tips that I'm sharing with you guys today. And the next tip is actually something that I wanted to include because this was a mistake that I made myself a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, not a few years ago. But don't use shopping as entertainment or retail therapy. That's a big no-no. I used to tell myself that walking around the mall was considered as exercise because I'd spend all day walking around. But the problem with that is you're putting yourself in an environment where it's very tempting to make a purchase. So instead, nowadays, if I'm wanting to do like some exercise, I could easily walk to the park, walk to the beach, play with my pets at home if I want entertainment, or even researching some exercise, aerobics, or cardio videos on YouTube, and I can do that at home in the comfort of my lounge room. Or even if you want something a little bit more interactive, you can do with your friend, children, partner, cousin, whoever it is, even your neighbor. If you want to spend some time baking some sweet goods at home, that's still an activity that gives you entertainment, and you won't need to spend an excess amount of money for that little period of entertainment. This next tip, guys, it's literally so easy, so simple, and it saves you so much. You don't even realize how much it saves you. But bring a water bottle with you wherever you go. So I probably implemented this tip maybe 3 or 4 years ago, where I always just bring a water bottle with me wherever I go. On one day, I actually forgot my water bottle at home and I had to purchase a water bottle at a vending machine because it was such a hot day. And can you believe it, guys? A bottle of water, it's not flavored or anything, it's just simple still water. It was $4.50, I think, from a vending machine. And that was actually cheaper than me buying a bottle of water from the closest cafe, which was $5. It is crazy how much a bottle of water costs these days. So best to bring your own bottle, which I generally always do 99% of the time, except for the odd occasion where I've forgotten it. You can even invest in one of those bottles that help keep your water cool. I can't remember the name of it. I actually have one. I bought one from Kmart probably 2 years ago for $7. What I do is fill it up with water, add some ice cubes in, and take it with me wherever I go. Even if it means I'm just going to the grocery shop, I still bring my water bottle. The next frugal tip I really want to share is redecorating. So I know every now and then I like to redecorate my space as well, but a frugal tip is redecorate your home with what you already have. You don't need to always buy new things to add to your room to make it look different. For example, the last time I redecorated, all I did was move my desk around, move a few things around, and it's changed the way my workspace is and it feels new to me. You could bring maybe some decorations in from the lounge room and put it in your bedroom, or vice versa. You can even go and search for, I think the Facebook groups have a section where people are giving away things they don't need. You can even use that to redecorate if you like, but that could add clutter. So I generally just like to redecorate with things that I already have at home. Also, just make sure you're taking safety precautions when you're reaching out to those Facebook groups, because I think I've seen a few occasions on the internet where it's become dangerous, where people are like posting things, but they are not safe to be around. Just make sure you guys do your due diligence and take safety precautions. The next tip is super obvious, but I'm still going to mention it. Reduce food wastage, guys. Food wastage is probably the biggest expense that most households have. And one last tip I can squeeze in before my video ends is if you're a low income earner, you can work to increase your income by taking additional shifts, doing Uber Eats, being an Uber driver, or even doing online surveys, which you can convert to gift cards, and that can help pay your grocery bills.